Do you want to give me a sacrum?
I don't know what a sacrum looks like.
Give me a sacrum.
Your septum bone?
It looks the bottom part right here. Looks like a triangle at the end of the vertebra.
Is this the paper you gave us?
Yeah. No, I need it separate. Whoa.
Is that the lights?
Doing that, huh?
You know what that means, right?
I'm just joking. Yeah, I'm trying to get you guys out before bad traffic. It's boring right now.
It's really bad. High five.
And I subscribe to your channel.
I only have one video, so.
You have it all separate?
That's okay.
Let me try to find
Wait, how did you search for her? What did you have to do?
I just typed in Anat 150 skull, and it's the first thing that popped up.
Okay.
It's the first thing that pops up.
Okay. Ready?
Ready, go. Okay. So for the vertebrae, you're going to need to know all of these basic structures. From here to here. So all vertebrae have, I better talk fast. All vertebrae have this in common. Most of them in common, okay? So each vertebra, cervical, thoracic, and lumbar, you're going to have to know all of these, okay? You guys okay on that? Okay. So, to name all these parts, I start off by looking at this. It looks like a face, okay? It looks like a little giraffe, okay? So, the eyes, there are the eyes, here are the ears, here's the nose, and then the nostrils, okay? So, the eyes are called the superior articular facets. Why superior? Because it's above, and they're going to articulate with another vertebra, okay? The nostrils are the inferior articular facets. So here are the inferior articular facets, and you're going to touch the superior articular facets on this guy, okay? So superior and then inferior are flat. They feel flat. Articular facets. Okay, and then the ears are the transverse process, and this is the spinous process, and you can feel your spinous processes when you bend over and arch over. That's your spinous processes, okay? Next, I'm going to look at it like this. So it looks like a little house now. It's like a house, okay? So here's the body, right? Like the basement, I guess. The walls are called a pedicle, like a pedestal, okay? And the roof is the lamina. This is the lamina. It looks like a roof. And then there's a hole called framing, so vertebral framing. Okay? Okay, next, put two of these together. And look on the side. There's a hole right there. That's the intervertebral framing.
Is that how it would be on a test, like together, and then it would ask that?
You might have it articulated already. Yeah, you might have the whole one hanging, and then there'll be like, there's an intervertebral framing.
Okay.
Or if it's just one, that would be the vertebral notch, because it looks like a notch, a little arch. I'm pointing right there.
Neither was I, and then I started doing it again.
Okay. All right, I already did that all fast. Okay. Okay, so you have to name all those the same things on all the different types of cervical foramen and thoracic and lumbar. Okay, so here's like your basic cervical vertebra. These are also cervical, but they're funky, so I'm going to go over these later. Okay, so the same parts here, right? Everything's the same, right? It's just a little bit smaller, a little bit more different. So here's the superior articular facets, here's the inferior articular facets, here's the nose spinous process, but it's two, right? Bifid, okay? Processes, body, right? And then here are the ears. So the ears are sort of in the back, right? They're the ears, okay? And you notice with the ears have holes in them. So the ears are pierced. Okay? So remember, all cervical vertebrae, the ears are pierced. I know I'm looking at a cervical vertebra. Why? Because the ears are pierced. So those holes are called transverse framing. Transverse framing. Because the transverse process, that's the ears, right? Transverse process, but they're pierced. Okay? So that's the easiest way to know, okay, I'm looking at a cervical, bam, ears pierced, cervical. All right, next, funky cervicals. Okay, the first one is called the atlas. Okay, so again, you have to name all the junk on this too. One thing it doesn't have is it doesn't have a body. So the atlas, it goes in alphabetical order: atlas and axis, C1, axis, C2. Okay, the atlas doesn't have a body, so you can't, but it has everything else. It pierced ears and everything. The problem with figuring out what's the superior and inferior articular facets, here are the little cups, right? They're going to articulate. These are going to articulate with your skull, right? Where? At the, where?
The nuclear?
No. Occipital condyles. Remember the skateboard ramps? The skateboard ramps. They're going to articulate right there. Remember? So occipital condyles are going to go right there. So this is the superior articular facets, and they feel when you put your finger in them, you can't when you're in lab. They feel cup-like. Okay? And then the inferior, so here's the inferior. I'm going to switch it over. They're more flat. So the inferior articular facets for the atlas are flat. And then the superior are cupped. Okay? So the superior are going to help you go say yes. So they're going to articulate the occipital condyles and to help you go say yes. Now this funky thing right here, this is the dens, okay? This is the axis, and it has this funky dens. This is the axis. It has the dens. This is like this little tail sticking out. That's the dens. It has a dens. And so here's the inferior articular facets, and they're going to go right there.
Like a headrest.
And so what does the dens help you do? It helps you say what? No. And I know this is cervical because the ears are pierced, right? And this has a body. The only one that doesn't have a body is this guy right here. Okay? Next. Okay, now going back to thoracics. So we already named the stuff for thoracics. What's special about thoracic is what? Give me a rib. Give me a rib real fast. I need a rib. I need a rib. You don't know what a rib looks like? Don't you eat them? Little elevator music. Alright, what's special about thoracics is that you have ribs attached to them, right? Okay? So, these little attachment points are called facets, and they're towards like the back of the body on the side. So they're on the side right here. Okay? On the side. And there's two. There's one on top and one on the bottom. For ribs 1 through 10, they have 2. For the vertebra, thoracics 1 through 10 have 2 little on the side, and these little ones are called demifacets. Okay? For ribs 11 and 12, so vertebra, thoracic T11 and 12 have only one that's on the middle of the body, called a full body facet. So these are divided into 2, okay? But for 11 and 12 vertebra, there's only one on the side. Okay? So let me show you how you put these guys on. All right. On the transverse processes, you have these little, like on the back of the earlobe, it's a little divot, right? Little divot right there. Okay, there's a little divot. Those are called transverse facets. Okay, so when you stick a rib on, the tubercle, this little nubby part right here of the rib, and here's this part right here, it's going to go in between. So for ribs 1 through 10, the ribs are going to go in between the vertebra. Where the little elbow thing is going to touch the transverse process, the transverse facet, and then the head is going to go on these demifacets, like that. Okay? But for ribs 11 and 12, it's just going to go right on the body, 11 and 12. And those are your floaters, the floating ribs. False ribs. Yeah, false, they're floating because they're not attached to the sternum. Okay? Right, so that's how you can tell that you're looking at thoracic, because I have facets, demifacets, and I have a transverse facet. Cervicals don't have facets, do they? No, because I don't have ribs coming out of my neck, right? And thoracics, lumbars, no facets here, because there's no ribs coming out of my butt, right? My lower back, no. Okay? All right, so how do you tell you're looking at lumbar? Again, the ears aren't pierced. I don't see any facets, right, or any kind of facet, right, on the side. And it's pretty big. It's pretty big and chunky. Big body, right, because that's holding the majority of your weight, right? It's supporting the upper half of your body. So it has to be pretty. Look at the bodies, right? How big the bodies are for thoracic and the lumbar. So process of elimination, basically. Okay, next. The sacrum. Okay. All right. So the sacrum. The sacrum. That last lumbar. So I'm going to put them on right here. Well, this is not the right one, but right. So right here is the superior articular facets. So if you look at the sacrum, it just looks like a bunch of vertebrae that fuse together, right, to make one big bone. That's what happens. It's a bunch of vertebrae that fuse to make one big bone. Okay. So here's the superior articular facet, right? Here's the medial crest, like it looks like a mohawk on the midline. Here's the lateral. Okay. Here's sacral foramen, right? Sacral foramen. This is called the auricular surface. I don't ask you that, but this is going to articulate with the coxal bone. That's the auricular surface right there. Sacral promontory is this thing right here. Okay, sacral canal and sacral hiatus are basically the same canal. So if I'm going to put the red type thing here, from going down, so this is superior, going down from there, that's the sacral canal. And if I go up this way, that's the sacral hiatus. Okay? And then my coccyx is broken off here. I don't have coccyx right there. Okay? I think that's it. Done.
Done.
So the mouse, the one going down, that's so
Oh.